The reality is there's no silver bullet. So don't think like, hey, what does this person use? I'm gonna stick to this one. I'm just gonna ride this thing till the wheels fall off, because that's a kind of not a very good business strategy. Because the thing is, unless you can reliably generate those resources yourself on an ongoing and consistent basis over a long period of time, you should never rely on one source. All right, thanks for joining this week on the FFL Elite Q&A. I mean, I'm not your regular host. John Background is out of town, so I'm filling in for him again. I keep telling you guys, I filled in for Joanne and for him a couple weeks ago, and I said you guys would be free of me. I lied. You're still stuck with me. We're joined by the lovely Joanne.
Hi, everyone.
Our contracting and recruiting director. So actually, I wanted to start with a question about contracting, because I got this from a few agents. As far as NLC, there's Mutual of Omaha and American Amicable also available along with Americo on there.
Correct. Yeah. So they have launched Mutual of Omaha, American Amicable, and Americo through NLC.
Yeah.
So now we are having the agents go ahead and submit their Americo through NLC and also Mutual of Omaha along with American Amicable. For Americo and Mutual of Omaha, they don't need to upload their anti-money laundering certificates yet. They just go ahead and wait until they are approved by Mutual or American Amicable. By Mutual of Omaha or Americo, and then they'll go ahead and they'll sponsor you guys with LIMRA, and then from there you're able to move on to American Amicable, and they have their proprietary anti-money laundering training, so you guys will have to go through that. I know we do have a couple of videos that are out on the welcome email. So if you guys are new agents, you guys can look forward to seeing how to submit those requests on the videos that are on the welcome email. And if you guys don't have them, just reach out and I'll send them over to you guys.
Yeah. And I can't stress this enough. There's a welcome email that Joanne sends out that has a checklist of all the different things.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, yeah, when people are new, they want a little bit extra hand holding, and which, look, we're happy to give support and happy to help. But, if you just refer back to them to that page, there's a checklist, and this way you don't miss anything. And a lot of the questions that you're asking, maybe you jumped a little bit ahead or you skipped over a certain part. But
yeah, so the tricky part is that they are integrating new things into FFL or into the onboarding system or the way that we're doing things. So it's actually a pretty good question for those agents that already were a part of FFL, and then they are having to recontract or having to resubmit those contracts for whatever reason. Then you guys will be able to submit them through there. If you are an older agent who has to resubmit the contract, we sometimes need to have the writing numbers removed from your profile in order to be able to create a new request for that carrier. So if you guys are running into that issue, just let me know and then we can help you guys out. But just like Albert said, all of the information is on your welcome email. We've included links on there with videos, also the links for the platforms that will direct you straight to the platforms where you guys will be submitting those requests or making any changes.
All right, cool. Any other updates or new things happening with contracting in general?
Well, with contracting, we are having issues still with the integration of NIPR platform with FFL's HCMS, and that's just because of the validation, and they're just trying to pinpoint, basically verify that all of the agents that are in FFL have been verified by the NIPR website. So we do have some issues currently where the agents, or if you're an older agent, maybe your NIPR profile isn't completed, and now you're having to validate all your information in NLC or in HCMS, and you guys may be running into errors where it's not allowing you to continue because it's not identifying whether you have a phone number or an email or an address on there. So if you are running into that issue now, then just go back to your NIPR website or profile and update that, and it should sync together with HCMS and NLC within a day to 5 days is
Right.
what they're forecasting.
Yeah, and you just gotta bear with the system a little bit. HCMS has been a little bit slow.
Yeah,
Just in case you guys have been on there.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little bit slow. I always recommend, for me, when I'm having issues on HCMS, I go incognito mode on Google Chrome, and that seems to help me out.
That helps.
Yeah.
Good to
So
know.
yeah, and then the Chrome browser for sure is a better browser for that platform, in my opinion. And in the opinion of the IT support group, they always recommend that you guys do go into the Google Chrome browser. Yeah.
Incognito browser method is actually more than just questionable sites that you want to go
Yeah,
visit.
exactly. Yeah. So that seems to help out, but it can be a headache, but overall just be a little bit patient. If there are, if the issue is extending over to 3 to 5 days, just shoot me an email and we can see if we can help you guys out in terms of like expediting your tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah. And remember, we're in our 8th year now, FFL.
I think so, yeah.
So I mean, like, yeah, we're kind of they're just trying to figure everything out as far as we grew this quickly. They're trying to put together a CRM that that can handle, or a system that can handle all these agents, and they're learning on the go as well. So I mean, they'll get it fixed. Just be patient.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a few questions that came to me throughout the week, and I just wanted to address some of those. Most of these are actually related to leads. So if you guys aren't very familiar with leads, first of all, you're in this business, you need to get familiar with it. It's a vital part. It's the lifeblood of your entire business, your entire ability to be able to grow. But some of the questions that I were getting was, what do you do if you can't you can't reach a lead? When should you leave a message? When should you text or email the client? How many times a day should you call a lead? When do you give up on the lead? All that stuff, right? So here's my thing. And I think when it comes to leads, the reason why I stress it's so important is because unless you're a marketing guru, in which, from my experience, people that think they're a marketing guru don't get into the sales part of it because they're like, hey, why do I want to sell? I could just market.
Yeah.
And then, so you're just chasing a bunch of different things, which it works for you. Great. I'm not knocking it. I think anyone that wants to pursue whatever they want to do is great. Okay. Now, the thing is, if you're in this business and you're trying to figure it out, you need to have leads. And it's really important. People ask, hey, what type of lead should I get? Because I actually got a couple questions this morning from people in here.
Yeah.
And they're like, what kind of lead should I get? The reality is there's no silver bullet. So don't think like, hey, what does this person use? I'm going to stick to this one. I'm going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off, because that's a kind of not a very good business strategy. Because the thing is, unless you can reliably generate those resources yourself on an ongoing and consistent basis over a long period of time, you should never rely on one source. Got to stay diversified. Doesn't mean you won't have your preferences. It doesn't mean that you won't have a particular source that works well for you and you're going to try to, that's going to be the majority of your business. That's always typical, but you should always have a few others on deck and a few others that you consistently, regularly use if you're trying to do this full time. Now, if you're doing this full time, you absolutely need to have leads. If you're part-time, I think that's the sticky part. That's the part where people, they tell themselves, oh, I'm only going to work part-time, so I don't really need that many leads. But then the thing is, if you're only doing this part-time and you're just getting a very small amount of leads and not sufficient amount, then the thing is, you're never going to see the type of results that you want in order for you to no longer be part-time. A lot of times people come into this, and which is a perfectly good strategy. If you do this part-time because you still have another job and you're like, hey, I want to make a little bit of money here so I can wean off of the other job. And then when I replace that type of income, then I can do this full-time. When the reality is, a lot of times people, if you're working part-time, you're working a very part-time schedule, and the part-time doesn't even count to be really part-time. It's more like, it's a hobby.
Yeah. Mostly if you're like, I think like mostly if you're like a part-time life agent, right? Because then you have full control of what time you're going to be working. But if you were actually a full-time employee somewhere else, like for a company, you would actually be there for at least 4 hours a day.
Right.
So I guess it gets a little bit tricky for individuals who are working a full-time job and then they're coming here wanting to have that. They think they're going to have that same mindset where they're going to sit for 4 hours, but then they actually don't do that.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not telling you what to do, because this is your life and however you see fit. However, if your goal is to try to make enough money here so you can quit your other job and replace that income and exceed it, obviously, you got to have a game plan for it. You can't just be like, I'm going to work my other job. I'm going to do this part-time. And then just whenever I become free, I will try to squeeze in a few calls and squeeze in a few presentations and try to make a few sales, because it's too many variables involved in that. So the thing is, if you're doing that with that goal in mind of trying to get rid of your other job and just do this full time, first of all, if you're going to do a part time, commit to a certain schedule first. just be like, okay, I work from this time to this time. My other job, I can block out and commit to these number of hours for these particular days. And then this way you have a base to work off. And if you have that base to work off of, then we can start tracking, okay, this worked, this didn't work. How do we scale it from there to get to the point where you can move away from the other job? So that's where the leads part comes in, because you have to consistently purchase leads, and you should have a regular budget in which you put aside for that, or you should have a regular flow of number of leads that you have. We had Harold on here, last week on one of our calls last week. Harold Durana, his team's really growing. He said at any time you're calling, you should have about 100 leads every single dial session. So you should have at least a minimum of that to work with. It doesn't matter if they're old, they're new, just have to have enough numbers and enough to keep you busy with it. So, that's the thing about leads. And, going back to the type of lead, I don't think it has anything to do with, hey, which is the magic leads, because I've actually been back in the field and just trying out different vendors and sold off of all of them. And none of them were particularly special. Some cost more, some cost less. But the reality, the bottom line came down to is like, I just need to talk to enough people. So when it comes to the number of leads, all that, just be open-minded, be willing to try different things, and recognize, hey, it's not the leads that don't work. It's just you aren't working consistently. Because if you stuck with one particular lead vendor and you got a okay amount of results, then start increasing that lead spend on that, and then start increasing the number of leads that you get on that, and start doing it for longer and longer and longer. Then you have a track record to actually be like, okay, I can make a definitive statement. I can make an educated statement about whether or not this lead vendor is good, or whether or not this lead vendor is for me. I think too many agents just try a vendor, they don't make a sale, and then they didn't even buy that many to begin with.
Yeah. How long do you think an agent should stick to a vendor? Like if they are working a consistent schedule, if they're getting some results, or let's just say if they're not getting the results that they want, but they're working a consistent schedule, how long should they keep it like partnered up with the vendor?
Yeah, I mean, unless you have a terrible experience with a vendor, I think you should stick with it if it's something that you can continue to get ongoing. So the consistency is the important part of it. So don't give it up and don't have nowhere else to go to. So if you have a lead source that you can consistently get leads from, they're reasonably priced, it's within your budget, the customer service experience has been okay, then stick with it for a bit. Try it out longer enough. If you see something that comes along better, I don't forego the original one. Just incorporate that in and then start testing them out against each other. And that competition is actually good, because now you have you can go back to the vendor and be like, hey, this source has been good for me, and then see if they can cut you a deal. Not necessarily that they can, but it's always good to have these options. So stick with that for a little bit. I mean, yeah, I just don't understand it when the agents come in and immediately and then start talking about, oh, this lead vendor doesn't work. I'm like, dude, you tried it like for we got by one batch of leads, and then you said it didn't work anymore. So that's how I would recommend you handle that situation. And then talk to other agents that are actually productive about that vendor. If see if anyone has any input. If someone's like, oh yeah, it didn't work, it sucked for me too, then don't talk to that person, or don't be silly enough to think, oh, this is good input.
Yeah, that their opinion is valuable. Yeah.
Or that particular piece of information is valuable. Not to say that person is dumb or whatever. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that doesn't help you as a business person. Hey, Ingrid, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Do you have a question for us? I just saw you hop on. Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
All right.
I had few experiences with dial calling.
Okay.
Where I made mistakes.
All right.
So I'm learning from that.
You're like everybody else.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Questions about what? About anything?
Anything. We're just talking. We just happen to be talking about leads and how you should work them. But if you have any other questions, feel free to shoot.
Well, I'm bringing my sister on boarding right now.
Okay.
And she's in Henderson, Nevada.
Okay.
And she's new in the business.
Okay.
So she's asking all kinds of questions, like, where do I go for errors and omissions? How much is that? Which company do you recommend to do the initial trainings, the certs, like AML? And I don't know. I do have a question.
Sure.
Do you or this office wants us to do long-term care?
Okay, well, we'll address a couple questions that
For
we'll
training.
do in order. First of all, let me just get the long-term care real quick out the way. You're welcome to. We're not a captive company, so if you think long-term care is something that you should add to your portfolio, you're more than welcome to do it. I don't know how many carriers actually carry it. Any of
Just
our
one,
just
like
Mutual of
Mutual
Omaha.
Omaha.
Yeah, Mutual of Omaha has it, but from me personally, I've been in the industry for 16, 17 years now at this point. I haven't done any long-term care. I don't have any interest in doing long-term care. I just rather focus on the things that make me the most money and the things that I specialize in.
Okay.
So yeah, from my experience, from the people that I've talked to, and I haven't done it personally. People just say it's expensive, it's difficult to qualify for, commission ain't that great. So
Mhm. Okay.
I'd rather refer it out to somebody else and focus on the things that make me money instead of trying to learn something that may or may not be that beneficial to me anyway.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the first.
Right.
That's the one question. As far as all the other stuff, we were kind of addressing it a little bit earlier.
Mhm.
As far as and where to do their training, all the other stuff.
Yeah, as far as for who's your new agent, Ingrid? Who are you talking about?
About my sister, Marisol Celera.
And then when did Marisol start?
I think she just did her onboarding yesterday.
Oh, okay, okay. So then if she completed her onboarding yesterday, then she should have received the welcome email. If she hasn't received it yet, I'll make sure to send it out to her. But in the welcome email, she can go ahead and find all of the links and all of the places where she can do the certifications.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll look into it, and then if she hasn't gotten it, I'll send it out to her.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. You're always out there for everybody.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Ingrid. I try for you guys.
Good tracking link.
Joanne's an awesome resource for the agency.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
she
guys.
is.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, just refer back to the welcome email checklist. I think that's
Yeah.
the easiest and most universal way of doing it. It also takes the burden off of you if you're bringing people in, because you'll get that question, you'll get those questions a lot, and then for you to have to go back through those processes, be like, hey, go back on that welcome email, and then go step by step.
Yeah.
Great. That's good to know. Good to know.
All right.
Thank you.
So actually, I'm going to go over. If you don't have any other questions at the moment, I'm going to go over. Are you getting the echoing?
Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Yeah, just bring the controller. But actually, one of the things that we were talking about was just about leads, and Ingrid, if you've been dialing them and working them, a lot of the questions that I've been getting is from new agents, which I love new agent questions because we can see how we can help. But then they ask, oh, so I called through my leads today, and then no one picked up. What should I do now? Right. So there's a couple questions. First of all, I always have to ask is like, okay, if you're not on live dials, and I can't help you directly because I don't know what was going on. So if you guys need help, or you guys just want some feedback, you want to listen to other people dial, you want to listen to other people, be around other people working, so it kind of keeps you accountable. That's always a great tool to hop on live dials. So that's one. But then also I asked them, okay, so how many dials did you do? Because when people say I called through all my leads, obviously, first of all, you got to figure out how many leads did you have, how many times did you dial through them? Because sometimes people just make one pass through, and then after that, they're like, okay, now I'm out of leads. Where in reality, like we're back in our day, Joe, when we worked at another company, we only got 30 or 40 leads a month, right? The entire month. And then we were at a captive agency, so they gave us leads. So then when it came to the time, it's like, all right, we gotta like work these until next month.
Yeah.
And obviously, we had to collect referrals and do other stuff to try to generate more business for ourselves because we didn't buy leads back then. But then it's like, okay, so how do we make this thing stretch? So like for every single lead, you have to call them multiple times a day, and then multiple times within the hour, and then
Like not in the like yeah, multiple times during the day was funny. Like in the morning, so like whenever you can find them, whenever they are not working or whenever they wake up if they're unemployed.
right. And then those were kind of like specialty niche leads. So then the
Yeah.
thing is like these people were generally working. So like calling them during the morning and during the daytime, it wasn't really that productive anyway because they're at work. So we'd
Yeah.
have to still start dial them multiple times and then like call them in the evening. And then typically we get more people in the evening because that's when they get off of work and they're actually able to pick up. But so you got to call multiple times a day. You also have to like have a strategy in how you're going to work them. So you gotta get to a certain point when you're willing to text them. You got to get to a certain point when you're willing to leave a voicemail. Like for me personally, my strategy is I wouldn't leave a voicemail right up front off the first call because a lot of times people think, hey, it's really easy. I'm just going to leave the voicemail. But sometimes if people hear the voicemail and they may not know who you are specifically, and then they're gonna get an idea and then they stop picking up or they block your number. Right. So that's one thing. So I would just keep calling consistently and try to get them on the phone to actually pick up so you can actually have that conversation with them. And then also texting a message is fine, but be very brief about it. Don't try to sell them on everything. Don't try to explain the entire sales pitch on that text message because at that point they'll make a value judgment without even actually speaking to you and actually knowing about the actual value of the plan. And then they probably won't call you again. They'll probably block your number. And then,
So,
yeah.
mhm. So basically, I should plan calling depending on the prospect age.
That helps. I mean, you could like you could like look at a senior that you're like, okay, this person has a higher likelihood of being retired, so I could probably catch them during the day. But then also depends. I mean, the power behind all of this is if you have enough leads, you can control, the how your day works. If you have a very small number of leads, if you have like 15 to 30 leads, then you got to keep calling the people over and over. But if you had like 1,000 leads, you don't have time to be wasting on, let me look at this person's data or, what if this person's annoyed at me? Well, it's like, you just got to keep working through. Like that's the power you give yourself to have sufficient amount of people to talk to. Right.
Okay, because I was very scared,
Okay.
to say the truth, to start
Appreciate the honesty.
to do dialing call because
Okay.
I never done that before.
Okay.
So I set up my mind the night before.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna call. It doesn't matter what they say, if they hang up, if they don't, whatever they do, I have to continue going. So I did that last Monday. And I called like about 30 people and only one responded.
Okay.
And at the end, the phone got disconnected. I don't know if she hung up on me or disconnected. But I've been calling.
Yeah.
And I will continue calling today.
Okay.
And be consistent. I think
Yep.
we have to be consistent on our focus of what
Yep.
we want to achieve.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah. Now, were those age leads or new leads or what kind of?
Their age to 100 and what is it, 180 days?
Okay.
No, less than that.
Yeah.
But
So that's the, I mean, like there's age leads, which age leads work too. I mean, the thing is with age leads, you're going to have to work them a little bit harder. You're going to have to work them for a little bit longer because there's like a shelf life in which, people start forgetting about stuff and it's less of an urgent thing for certain types of leads. So if you have age leads, I mean, you got to expect you're going to put in more work and call them more often and continue to work them. And if you have fresher leads, then you should call them immediately. And then you should try to get them on the phone because it's still fresh in their memory. Yeah.
okay.
So that's the first thing. I mean, if you have 30 age leads, for me personally, I would say that's not enough because you're going to get frustrated off of it because you're going to have to work them that much harder, and you're already at a disadvantage in that in that regard. And then if you only have 30 of them, that's a very small quantity in terms of the number of people that you want to be able to stay busy with. So, I mean, you should just look to, if you can, if it's within your budget, you should look to get additional leads. We're just talking about earlier, 100 minimum, every time that you're down 100 people, a list of 100 people to call.
Oh, well, I have 250 people.
Oh, okay, good. So
So
there's progress.
I have no excuse not to.
You can't say you don't have 100 people to call anymore, Ingrid.
No, I said that in my mind. Oh, no. Ingrid, you have to call. You have to make that phone call that you don't want to make to get over.
Yeah. Are you on the live dials? Or are you calling by yourself?
I did both.
Okay.
I did both, but I have been on live.
Okay.
And I learned a lot also
Good.
from them.
Right. Yeah. A lot of helpful
And
info on there.
sometimes we're shy to be on dial calls and you're making all these mistakes and you're on the other side of the screen. It's like, Ingrid, you shouldn't have said that.
No, but from the live
uh,
dials, everyone's like giving constructive feedback, for the most part, because they want to see you do better, and they've made that mistake already before, and then they're just trying to help you avoid that or help fix it for the future.
yeah,
Right.
but I worked my hot market, my warm market, and it's going well.
Good.
Well.
Yeah, no, we've seen that. Good job.
Yeah.
Now we got to figure out how to diversify your business and work the leads game. That's where the money's at.
Right.
Okay. Have you
Right.
started leaving text messages and emails or out to the clients?
I've left on the dial calls. I left voicemails, voice messages.
Okay.
I don't know if that's recommended. I was thinking on doing a email campaign,
Yeah.
and just send it out, and
Yeah.
hey, somebody has to see it.
If you have their emails, I don't see why not, right? She can.
Is there a specific format or anything that you can suggest that I write on that email?
No, because there's a lot of different approaches out there. I mean, I guess depends on what your strategy for the email is. If you just want them to call you back, just be like, hey, just be very brief about it. Be like, hey, got your request that you filled out. Give me a call back at this number. I've been trying to dial and reach you too, but haven't been able to. So get creative. I mean, you want it to sound like you too. I mean, that's the important part, because when they actually reach back out to you, it'll be you that they're speaking to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Just try different things when it comes to approaching them that way. Also for me personally, like getting back into selling, like I talked to Joanne about this a lot, but it's the work itself is not hard. Calling people is not hard. Buying the leads, getting them on the phone and doing the presentation, that part's all fine. It's easy. Like I'm trying to figure out like, what's the most efficient way for me to do this? And I've been trying out different CRMs and different campaigns and stuff to try to engage my leads, whether through a power dialer or whether through a marketing email campaign or text messaging campaign, all these different things. So I've tried a bunch of different ones out there, just like all the lead vendors. I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, because I just think like it's easy to get overwhelmed, and you're just thinking, you start comparing all these different systems and lead vendors and all these different things, rather than focusing on what you need to do the most, which is to make money. So, I mean, it depends on your financial situation. If you need to make money right now, don't go into that search. For me, I have an agency to run, and I'm trying to figure some stuff out so I can, give some actual positive feedback and actual good feedback to other agents. But I guess being in the industry for nearly 17 years now at this point, I think my perspective has changed a little bit. Before, I used to always just be, you'd never leave a message, just keep hammering them, and then we'd go and door knock too. So we used to go physically in person. So I would say, hey, don't follow up with the client. If you see them, close them, pitch them, close them, and then be done with it. If it's a no, it's a no. Just move. Now I think I understand things a little bit differently, especially with the internet lead age. I think that's changed my perspective, because people are in different parts of the sales cycle now too. And I think I've learned that especially from working different vendors, and a lot of them, some of them are a little bit more high intent, some of them are a little lower intent, but they have expressed some interest at some point. A lot of times you call people and they're like, hey, I'm just kicking the tires. I'm just shopping around. So, I used to think that's just BS, which most of the time it probably is BS. But every once in a while, there's certain people that they just kind of looked into. They're very, very lukewarm on the idea of getting life insurance. So like that requires a little bit of follow-up. And that's part of the reason I'm looking into the various platforms, because I want to be able to do a better job of following up rather than be physically trying to remember everything and managing all my leads paper-wise. And so, I think having a good system is an important part, but the first step is if you guys are just trying to learn the business, you have to learn how to call, you have to learn how to dial, you have to learn how to book appointments, you have to learn how to do a presentation, you have to learn how to be versatile to actually go physically in the field if needed, or also just do virtual or telesales. And I think too many people get caught up in the how to rather than the why. And the why is, why did you guys get into this in the first place? It's to make money and to learn this business and to grow it eventually. So don't try to be too much like, hey, I want to be a good business person. Like, you actually have to have a business and business to submit in order for you to actually learn how to stack on from there. So when it comes to leads, I mean, I know that was a very like long, complex answer, but just get enough leads, call through them thoroughly, start figuring out, okay, if this is working for me, track it. If this is not working for me, how do I improve it? And that's what I'm currently on the journey for now, to like, how do I scale a business, in this current form? So I mean, it's been kind of fun. It's like an experiment.
Yeah, but
Okay.
most definitely, I think it's definitely been a little bit different in comparison to how we started. I mean, back then we weren't able to like generate our own leads, or you know what I mean? So like now knowing that you have all of that, um, just, I don't know, it just gives your agency more of an opportunity to grow, in my opinion.
Okay,
All right.
great.
And then one final tip I have for when it comes to working leads is like, if you've been working them thoroughly for a while, again, and I think you said you hired your sister, you brought your
Yes.
sister in. Okay, perfect. So that'll be perfect. So the thing is, as a new agent, a lot of times some new agents pick it up very quickly, and then they're just great on the phones naturally. Joanne was actually really good on the phone at her former company, which she's on the phone all the time now anyway, but some people just pick it up. Some people are not that great on the phones initially, and then you have to learn how to, because I was terrible on the phones when I first started, but I learned how to be good. Just practice, experience, and just learning to not care so much about all the little stuff that doesn't matter. So then if you're still in the process of like going through and you're like, you don't get very much success with your leads, and then someone else is new, trade leads, like swap leads. I think that's like the easiest way, because you start to develop a narrative for all of the leads, and you're thinking, this person is mean, or this person never picks up, and this and that. If you give it to someone else, it's a brand new lead for them. So that'll kind of mentally give you an advantage of just working a new set of leads.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And it not necessarily has to be your sister. There's other people around here too that you can that you can work with. And
That's right.
all right. Any other questions you have for us, Ingrid?
No. Thank you so much for the guidance.
Yeah, no problem.
This.
All right. So okay. We'll see you crushing it with leads soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna be calling today.
Okay,
Right
perfect.
after I hang up here,
All right.
I'm gonna start dialing. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks, Ingrid. Joan, did you have any other questions that you've been coming across with agents?
No, none lately.
Okay. Cool. All right. If that's it for you guys, we'll wrap up here. John will be back next week, so you guys will hopefully be free of me at that point. So thanks to Joanne, thanks to Ingrid, and then this is me signing off. So appreciate you guys.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.
You have a good day.
You too.